Hi, friends. What brings you comfort? There's a lot of things that bring us comfort. Another person, the love of another person, being a part of a family, candy, or a good paying job and money in the bank, a movie, a hot cup of coffee in the morning. There's just an endless, really, litany that we could go through of stuff that comforts us, that is good for us, and other things that comfort us that maybe not are not so good. Here's one that is good for us and also comforts us. It's one that you may not think of: prophecy. Prophecy can be very comforting for us. And the reason why I say that is this: is that what it means is that when God makes a prophecy, like in the Old Testament, there's over 800, no, 400 prophecies about the birth of Messiah alone. Right? When God makes a prophecy, He fulfills it. He can, and He has the power to do it, and He does it every time. And we get to see in the scriptures and from history itself how all the prophecies that He gave through the prophets in the Old Testament came to be true in the time of Jesus, in the time of the New Testament, and in the years after the creation of His church. That's to give us comfort, because that means that, for instance, when Jesus teaches about, prophesies about what heaven is going to be like, and then teaches us how to get to heaven. It means if we just follow that teaching, then we're going to get to heaven. And that should give us great comfort. I know it does me. I don't know about you. And that means then that when we persevere in the faith, under these prophecies, under these promises, and we live them day by day, year after year, for just a few years of our lives, whether that's 20 years or 100 years, then that means that then what we get is millions upon billions upon trillions upon quadrillions of years with God in heaven, and all that dwell in Him, and all that exist in Him. That's pretty comforting to me. We make the faith so complex, and really it's quite simple. So let's look at just, one of the prophecies in the Old Testament in order to draw this out. Daniel 2. Daniel 2 is the prophecy of this Jewish, at this time, young man who is a slave to the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar is not a good king, and he does some very bad things, but he has this dream, and he can't understand the dream, and he wants somebody to be able to interpret it. No one can, but Daniel is able to do that. And he doesn't do it for money, he doesn't do it for power, he doesn't do it for position. He does it because God has given a gift, and he wants to use it for the glory of God and the good of the people. Especially when you hear the dream, then you also see that Daniel is trying to help this king. It's up to the king whether or not he's going to take this prophecy to heart and to change. And by the way, he doesn't. But the prophecy comes true nevertheless. So what's the prophecy? Prophecy is this great statue. And the statue from head to toe have 4 different parts, okay? And what Daniel interprets is that these 4 parts of this one statue are the 4 great empires that are and are going to follow his empire, the Babylonian Empire. So there's the Babylonian Empire, the kingdom of Nebuchadnezzar, and then there's going to be the kingdom of the Medes and the Persians, and then there's going to be the kingdom of the Greeks, and then there's going to be the empire of the Romans. And guess what happens? Historically, that's exactly what happens, right? Okay, that's the first part. But in that, then, what we see is, further into the dream and the prophecy, is that there's this little stone. And this little stone is going to bring down the entire, starting at the foot where the Roman Empire is going to bring down all of this. And that little stone is going to become a great mountain. And that great mountain is going to spread throughout the world. Well, that little stone is the cornerstone that the builders rejected, right? That became a mountain. And that stone, that mountain, is God. And he spreads his church throughout all of the world. And that's exactly what happened in the hundreds upon hundreds of years after Christ's life and the creation of the Roman Catholic Church. It literally was reaching every part of the world and then growing in every part of the world. And so, I don't know about you, that gives me great comfort that Daniel's prophecy to the dotting of the I and the crossing of the T came true. Because what that means then is that all of the prophecies, all of the promises that the Old Testament prophets gave, the patriarchs gave, and Jesus himself gave, all of them will come true. Always. Thus, when we think about God's prophecies about heaven and what will come to pass, all we have to do, the only thing we have to do, is trust God. Trust his words and follow his words. And we then, and our loved ones, will get into heaven. Regardless of what happens to us in this world, regardless of what empire comes and goes, what nation comes and goes, what cultures and what happens in those cultures, the stone that has become a mountain that has covered the earth is the same stone that will become the cornerstone of our lives, and the stone that others may reject in our time, if we allow, will then become the cornerstone of our lives and the cornerstone upon which we build the structures of our lives, the lifestyles of our lives, the relationships of our lives, the goals of our lives. Knowing that if we do this, if we're willing to take that focus, take that priority, have that value, and every day do that life, do the work of that life, then the promises that God has given to us when we do that will be of heaven, unending, an unending kingdom of God. And I don't know about you, but that gives me great comfort. And that's a prophecy worth believing in and living for. Until next time, friends.